Hello and welcome to Getter Farms. We're back with another episode of the Flint Hills, Iowa map by JS Mapping. And today we've got a lot of work to do. We're still in early spring. We've got all of our hired help out finishing up the tillage that we didn't get done yesterday. It looks like for the most part we're getting close here. This pig field over on the side here, I believe this is field 25. That's going to have a little bit of time to go, but the rest of our fields are in pretty good shape. And so before we get started on things of the day, I thought it would be best to head on over and check on our animals. We've got our cows, we've got pigs over here. And this is something I haven't done for a little while in my series, is do animal care. And so I wanted to come over here and kind of take a look at what's going on and see what we're going to need to do. If we bring up our animal menu here, we can see they do need some more food. They need some water. Health-wise, looking at these pigs, we're at 80% health, which is pretty good. Just kind of scrolling through here, we've already got several pigs that are at 0.3 years until we have a new animal. So they have been busy little pigs, and so we're going to have more pigs soon. So let's go ahead and grab our utility tractor here. It's actually a decent sized tractor, our 6000 series here, 6410. We're going to head out here and start with cleaning up this feed that we've managed to spill out here. It's interesting just how the seasons mechanics work. We're going to just say the workers were a little sloppy here when they were feeding the animals, and so we've got to make sure we're keeping the yard clean here. And then we're going to go hook this feed mixer up, I think, and go ahead and top off the pig feed. So if we just back right back up here into the shed, see if we can whip around here where we can see, and we'll hop out and hook this up. This does not have the PTO hookup animated on it, unfortunately. I really like this mod though. When I worked on a hog farm, we had a mixer grinder, we called it, kind of similar to this, so it's kind of cool to see mods like this in Farm Sim. And we're gonna just shoot this pig food that we'd already mixed up right here into the feed bins, and it looks like that's all it's gonna need. And the pig food evenly distributes into the 3 other food types that Seasons requires, and so that's gonna allow us to take a more realistic approach and use the feed types, at least that I'm used to, in our mixer, and have the mixer turn it into pig food for us, and then not worry about the details of what Seasons requires to feed pigs right now. So with that, I'm going to back this thing right back up here into the shed. We're going to try and do it without hitting the walls. So we're just going to leave this mixer wagon hooked up here. No sense in unhooking it at the moment, since we'll likely need that again very soon. And the last thing we need to do is just run over here and top off our water tank. And so we should be able to do that by opening up this valve here, and it should just take care of things from there. When we bring the animal window back up here, we can see that we've topped off the water. Our cleanliness should come back up over time now that we've cleaned up the food area. And you can see we're already generating a good amount of slurry, which is to be expected and awesome, so that come fall, we will have lots of slurry to spread onto our fields. I've made some small tweaks to the game and some of my settings. You may notice that the colors look a little bit different. The sky is a little bit brighter. Things are hopefully not nearly as washed out. I've actually disabled my shaders and installed a settings from Frontier Design that allows me to have their updated color settings on any map that I'm playing seasons with. And so Dio on my Discord server was kind enough to link me to that mod, and I'm so far really liking how this is looking. We'll see how this video turns out when I upload it to YouTube, but hopefully this is an improvement to the overall color palette that's available in the game. So we're gonna go ahead and just park our truck here for a moment, and I think check out where each of our workers is at as far as tillage. So it looks like field 26, we're just about done. He's probably got one more pass here if we jump over there and check on him. He's going around the outside of the field here to finish off the headlands, and we'll be done chiseling this field, which is awesome. And then if we just take a quick look up here at what the 8960 is doing, this field was already plowed, so he's almost done getting the seedbed prepped here. So we're going to be able to plant in this field pretty soon. And if we just take a quick look at precision farming, we can see these little strip here. This is how much slurry we had before we took on this job. So we had not a lot, just enough to get a sample in here. So that's going to save us some money when it comes to spraying while we're planting and such in this field. But in the grand scheme of things, we didn't really make a dent with our slurry this year. So we're going to have a lot of money to spend on fertilizer. And then pH-wise, things are actually in a decent state. Not necessarily great everywhere. There's some lower areas. So we're going to deal with lime in the fall and see what we can do to get these fields in better shape for next harvest. So we're back up here in the yard with the 8960, and we did add a pressure washer into our farm build here. So we're going to go ahead and just wash this thing up real quick. And it looks like my 410, my 8RX is hung up on a fence. So we're going to jump over and fix that real quick here right as soon as we're done spraying this off. Boom. We might as well shut this off. I'll put the machinery away in a little bit. And let's see, what do you got going here? I think you're done. You're just not being the brightest worker. So we're going to go ahead and discontinue your course. We're going to put you down and just see if I can hit this corner just a smidge better. We've got the little tiny pieces on the ends of the headlands there that got missed, but I think we're going to just call that good enough. I know our planter's going to work, and those little tiny bits shouldn't hurt yield too much. I'm not too terribly worried about it. And so we're going to take this back up into the yard, and I'd like to give a shout out to my moderators for pointing out that Global Company has a kind of place anywhere type functionality that has allowed me to edit the ends of my driveways here. Still trying to work on blending them into the road, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it yet. Just knowing that I'm going to be able to edit that terrain has been a huge plus. And we're going to give this thing a quick spray as well, and then go check on our 9RX. So it looks like the 9RX has a little bit to go. So we're going to just toss this equipment here back in the shed and give him a chance to finish up that field. And really it's time to get everything switched over to planting. And so I think what we'll do is start by disconnecting this 8RX and getting it hooked up to the DB60 here likely. We also need to get our chemical and such filled up on the nurse trailer and, you know, go buy some seed and all this stuff. So we're really behind on our spring prep work. So we've got to get moving on all that, because I think tomorrow we're going to be getting to a point where we're ready to start planting, hopefully, which would be nice. So we're just going to run this right over into the other shed and pick up our DB60 and get that pulled out into the yard so we can take a look at it. I know for a fact this is a planter setup that's going to work really well because I've used it in the past. Get our hoses all hooked up there, looking all nice and green and shiny. And then I think what we'll do is go ahead and get the pickup here and run up to the elevator and pick up some seed with the seed tender to start with. And then at some point here we'll have to also go and get some chemical, but I think the starting point here is definitely getting seed purchased, and I haven't actually gone and checked out any of those kind of points on the map, so I'm really kind of curious to get out there and explore the map a little bit. I guess we could just look here, get pulled up nice and close to this trailer, and get all hooked up, and get our trailer lights plugged in. And we're going to go ahead and head into town, but before we do that, we got to look at the map and figure out where town is. I believe that this anhydrous station area is where the bulk buy points are on the map. Not 100% positive, but we're going to take a look. And so I think the quickest way to get into town is going to be to shoot right up this road. At some point, we probably need to get this dirt road at least upgraded to gravel, maybe even paved at some point. I don't know. It's just kind of a janky little dirt path here. I guess we're the only farm on the road, so not a lot of sense in the county investing in making this road better, but there's some potholes on this road that are something else. I always love when modders add in the detail where this is, you know, somebody else's farm with some equipment parked in the sheds and stuff. Makes it look real cool. And there's our 9RX turning around on the enduro, and we're going to try and sneak out here in front of this car. We may have regrets. Traffic on this map is a little bit aggressive at times, which is actually not too far off from reality most of the time. I'm happy that traffic is moving. I get frustrated when I have to drive 10 miles an hour behind a bunch of other cars. I do think the lighting is much improved on the settings that I have them on now, so I'll be really curious to hear what you guys think of the current colors and lighting and all that good stuff. My driving, not so much improved, but that's a whole different conversation. I do appreciate the variety in the traffic as well. It's not just the same one car. I mean, there's some repetitiveness, but we're going to go ahead and turn into this co-op spot. I think this is the spot we want to be. We're about to find out. This is where you would fill for anhydrous. I want to say that's going to be fertilizer. And so I'm really hoping that this here is the seed. So I was able to find the trigger here. So this is the seed refill point. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill that one up. And then what I want to do is I want to back in here. I've always been curious and I never remember to try. If I just put the seed tender itself under. Will it allow me to fill? The answer appears to be a no. So we'll get the auger right back up under there and do it that way. And we've got both compartments here filled up with seed, which is exactly what we were looking for. We're not going to be using any dry fertilizer at this point. We're going to use the liquid on the DB60. I really would love to figure out where to get one of these little John Deere chemical carts at some point. I mean, this is looks like an FS17 artifact with the way that it's textured, but it's just really cool. Oh, nice John Deere oil drum. All right, let's run this seed back on up to the farm, and then I think I'm actually going to bring that nurse trailer down here and just confirm that that's the bulk point for chemical as well. Not super realistic to bring the whole trailer down to get some chemical. Normally you just buy a few things and toss them in the back of the truck, but Farm Sim has not quite gotten to the point of handling chemical in a more realistic way. I would love if you had a mechanic, maybe kind of like how DEF is sort of implemented, maybe not, but where you had smaller handheld items for putting the chemical into a tank and then you mixed it with water. Maybe like a kind of like a TMR or a pig food type situation where you mixed your chemical with water and then it turned into fertilizer or herbicide as appropriate. Alright, so we're back up here in the yard. We've got plenty of seed here. I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and try and fill this planter up while we've got the seed tender hooked up. Get our seed all ready to go, and then I'll get switched over to that nurse tank. So if I just pull this right up here behind these tanks, and I need to get just a little bit closer, it looks like. And then we hop into the 8RX. I should be able to open the cover, fill her with seed. There we go. Curious how much seed this is gonna take. Can I hop up there? I cannot. It was worth a try. Wow, we used a half a seed tender to get to that much seed. I was not expecting that. Interesting. Well, we'll go ahead and cut over to the other half of the seed tender. And so we're already halfway through the seed here, which is fine. I don't have any problems with that. We'll see how much seed we actually end up using once we get out into the field. I'm going to just put this right back into the shed though. No sense leaving it out to the elements. This trailer is pretty cool. It's got a gauge on the back to indicate how full the trailer is. It does have manure system support, different color options for the tanks. Just a really cool little trailer. So I won't bore you with the trip back up to town. We'll check back in when we get up to the elevator. Alright, we're back up at the co-op here with the nurse trailer. We're going to try and fill up our tank with some liquid fertilizer here. I'm assuming that is what this is for, but we don't know for sure. Alright, so it looks like the trigger for the liquid fertilizer and herbicide is actually on this side of the drive-through, which probably makes sense depending on what you're trying to get in here. So we're going to go ahead and just fill up our trailer here to the max and see how far this gets us. 1,586 gallons. Sounds like a fair amount of fertilizer. Between the seed and the fertilizer, we have definitely spent our fair share of money here. And that on top of all of the other costs we had with the seasons tick over in our loans and such, we are definitely starting to feel the impact of how much debt we've taken out. And so we really are going to need to figure out how to get into harvest time and make some money back. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, we should probably go ahead and pay back down some of our loan just so that we don't have quite as much interest when the day ticks over again here. Every couple of dollars is going to help at this point. This guy is definitely not happy I'm only going 50 miles an hour in the 55. He's tailgating me. Come on now. Come on. Give me a little bit of space. You do not want to bump into this trailer. I guarantee you. It's going to be a bad day for all of us. I'm putting on my brakes. You better give me some room. I can't take this corner at 30 miles an hour. My goodness, people are so impatient these days. Looks like our worker is getting close to the end of this field here. A few more passes, and then he's going to wrap up the headlands. I say he. I'm pretty sure that's a she. I think there was a mod that let you have named hired workers. I should really look into that. I could give each of my hired workers a name. Maybe limit myself to 3 workers at a time or something like that. Might be fascinating. Alright, we're back up at the yard here. We're going to go ahead and pull this trailer right up alongside the planter. I don't actually remember where the trigger is for filling the fertilizer on this planter. I think if anything, it's probably on this side of the planter, but we're going to hope. There we go. It does actually work. And yeah, it doesn't look like a 500-gallon tank of liquid here on the planter, but we'll go with it. It looks good. So our 8RX is all set up now and ready for planting time. I think that means we're going to just back it right back up into the shed here. I'm going to close up our seed tank covers. And I should be able to pull this off without hitting anything, right? Maybe not. Not my best parking job. We're going to leave the 8RX all hooked up here because we are going to be using it to do some planting, hopefully tomorrow. Let's take a quick look at our weather. It looks like today the temperatures are on the rise, and tomorrow they should stay over 50 degrees. And so hopefully with it getting nice and toasty later in the day today, our ground temperature is going to come up tomorrow and get us into planting time for, wow, corn and soybeans is much higher planting temperatures in this geo than I'm used to. I think in most seasons geos that I see, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so this is definitely interesting. Means we're going to be able to get our corn in earlier than our soybeans. So, yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that. We might not be able to plant tomorrow. So I think the last thing we're going to do today is go ahead and take this 8960 over to this other field that we ripped up and get him off on getting the seed bed prepared. I think this big field behind us, we're going to try and just no-till straight into and see how that works out. But I think this small field over here, we'll go ahead and use the Great Plains field cultivator here and get it all squared up and ready to go. She'll be good to go to finish this field off while we go and wrap things up with the 9RX on our large field to the north here. Looks like we're on the final pass here before we do all the headlands around the field. This is going to officially wrap up our tillage phase of spring, and I'm super excited to jump into planting next episode. That's all for today. Kedrick?